Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. It's called Requiem. And the episode starts in the hospital as Kingpin comes to terms with Vanessa's death. The doctor walks in and offers condolences, calling it a great honor to treat his wife. He offers Fisk a hug, and the mayor accepts, but the kind gesture takes a sinister turn when Kingpin squeezes him too tight and breaks his spine, killing the doctor instantly. At Vanessa's funeral, Fisk is decked out in all white. His people, Buck, Sheila, Heather, and Daniel, are all present. Elsewhere, Matt and Karen watch over a recuperating Bullseye. We also see Mr. Charles with a crew heading to retrieve his weapons, only to find an empty warehouse. The Kingpin has reneged on their deal, and we then see Officer Powell and the AVTF unloading the weapons at a different location. Back at the funeral, Fisk lays a rose on Vanessa's casket. The episode then takes us to the suburbs where a young girl is playing with her toys. A bunch of armed men arrive in the driveway and begin to surround the house. The girl's mother heads outside and we hear her fighting them off. A flash grenade is thrown into the house and the little girl picks it up. The woman comes back, grabs the grenade, and disarms it. Then we finally get to see who it is. It's Jessica Jones. Soledad patches up Bullseye's wound and tells Daredevil that he needs a hospital, but Daredevil says they can't take him there because they'd essentially be sending him to his death. Karen says maybe they should in that case. She believes he should be dead or in one of Fisk's dungeons. Angela gives Karen an update on what's been going on in the streets and how some are mourning Vanessa while others are concerned about the disappearances. Matt wants an update on Christophe, the first mate, and Karen tells him her source should be dropping the interview footage any time now. She then asks him whether he remembers Bullseye attack at Clinton Church when he killed the priest there and left Matt at the brink of death. At that time, she remembers Matt wanted to kill Fisk, but she told him not to, and now she's wondering whether she was wrong. Matt says she wasn't because this is what separates them from him. She wonders whether this fight doesn't end until one of them goes down permanently and tells Matt to start considering putting the Kingpin down once and for all, because if he gets the opportunity, Fisk isn't going to hesitate to do likewise to Matt. Matt has to leave to meet someone, and Karen asks him what he wants her to do with Bullseye, and he tells her to watch over him. At a service after the funeral, the governor talks to Sheila and is worried about Fisk's next move. She gets a lot of pressure from outside sources and may have to take action against him sooner than later. She suggests a potential mayoral run for Sheila. Meanwhile, Bibi wishes Daniel a happy birthday and says they should do something to celebrate, but he's not in the mood after recent events. She insists, and he admits he's going to his mother's house later, and she asks to go along. Buck interrupts their conversation and attempts to intimidate Bibi, who reminds him she's a journalist. After she leaves, Buck tells Daniel to pull himself together. He knows Daniel is fond of Bibi, but is also suspicious that she's the leak. So he tells Daniel to feed Bibi a fake story in an effort to test her. If the story surfaces, he'll know she was the leak, and Buck will take care of her. Fisk gets in his car and gets a call from Mr. Charles, who is angry about the guns being moved. He begins to berate Fisk, who simply hangs up. At the same time, people start to protest outside the memorial service. Daredevil, meanwhile, links up with Jessica Jones, and she's super pissed about soldiers showing up at her house and putting her daughter Danielle at risk. She tells Matt she's done some digging into who's been providing Fisk cover to smuggle the guns and confirms it's a faction of the U.S. government. She tells him about how Mr. Charles tried to recruit her in the past, but that she declined his invitation while others didn't, subtly suggesting that her husband may have taken him up on the offer. Matt can sense something off with Jessica and tells her she may have broken a rib during the scuffle. She admits that after giving birth to Danielle, her powers sometimes drop in and out. Matt asks about Danielle, and Jessica says she's a handful but is doing well. Based on Jessica's lead, the two defenders then head to the AVTF warehouse where the guns are currently being stored. They deduce that while the guns were initially being run for Charles, they're now being used by the AVTF. Jessica asks Daredevil if he wants to cause some trouble. She then throws a guy through the warehouse wall and brings a head-on assault against the AVTF, and Daredevil joins her. They partner up and beat up a ton of AVTF officers. Jessica then punches Officer Powell in the face, but her powers fade out, which allows him to get the upper hand against her. He goes in for the kill when Daredevil intervenes and knocks him out. He then helps Jessica to her feet and they leave, but not before setting off explosives to destroy the weapons. The entire warehouse goes up in flames. At the Fisk's home, Heather is in their bedroom snooping through Vanessa's belongings. She steals an earring when Buck walks in on her, and she begins to open up about her experience with Muse. She describes to him the pain that Muse inflicted and breaks down in tears while simulating the attack for Buck. She gets a little too aggressive, and she begins to have visions of Muse, but Buck brings her back to reality. Phoebe and Daniel meet up for his birthday, and she tells him how the task force raids are making everything worse in the city, and he retorts that vigilantes killed Vanessa. Phoebe tells him she was there too, so he can't spin his lies to her. He takes a second before feeding her a false story about Fisk not running for re-election, and she buys it. Officer Powell confirms that it was indeed Jessica Jones helping Daredevil. He also finds Officer Saunders and gives him his keycard back, the same keycard that Daredevil used to infiltrate the Kingpin's prison. At the Punisher's hideout, Karen watches over Bullseye, who finally regains consciousness. He's annoyed when he realizes he's been heavily restrained. He asks if she's going to kill him, and he tells her that it was Vanessa who ordered the hit on Foggy. He was just completing the equation. He again expresses his intent to die, and Karen seems ready to oblige, pointing a gun at him, but is thwarted when Daredevil knocks the gun out of her hand with his billy club. Daredevil says he can't let her kill him. Karen is mad and tells Matt that he keeps choosing the wrong people. He saved Fisk, he saved Bullseye, but he couldn't save the people that love him. Matt has no answer. She asks him to let her kill Bullseye, and Matt is shocked at her behavior. She tells him that Christofi didn't make it to witness protection, and the video hasn't been broadcast anywhere, so they have to assume everyone is dead. She tells him to grow up and leaves. The protests keep getting bigger across the city, while Powell is getting extremely friendly with Saunders. Away from the action, Bibi and Daniel arrive at his mother's house, and they enjoy a quiet dinner and birthday celebration, sharing stories of his childhood. When Bibi goes to use the bathroom, Daniel seizes the opportunity to search her coat. She takes a look into his childhood bedroom, and we see her start to type up the news about Fisk not seeking re-election, but she has a change of heart and doesn't hit send. Meanwhile, Daniel has a heart-to-heart with his mother, who is super proud of his success, and they all get back together and cut the cake. The protesters start to put on makeshift Daredevil masks. Governor McCaffrey gets a late-night visit from Mr. Charles, who tells her he's there to solve her City Hall problem. Phoebe gets ready to leave, and Daniel helps her with the coat. She tells him she had a nice evening and wishes him happy birthday again. She leans in for a kiss, but he pulls back and confronts her about the SD card he found in her jacket. He also tells her he knows that she's behind the City Without Fear fake Kingpin videos and wants to know what's on the SD card. She tries to explain, but he's too upset. He tells her they're both screwed, and he's not sure if he can protect her anymore. He promptly gets a call from Buck. Karen disguises herself and reaches the protest. Fisk watches the streets from his office. Buck reaches him with an update that the governor has pulled her support for him. When Fisk is about to respond, Karen plays the video of the testimonials on the side of the building for the whole city to see. All of the prisoners speak on how Fisk wrongfully held them prisoner and Daredevil freed them. The Kingpin discreetly leaves his office from a secret exit. The video ends with a message to resist and rebel. Kingpin returns to his lair and looks at the painting he bought from Vanessa, the one that kickstarted their relationship, but he has a visitor, and of course, it's Daredevil. Daredevil offers his condolences, and Fisk says he's not surprised to see him. He asks him if that's why he's come. Daredevil tells him that he's not even sure what the two of them are fighting about anymore. New York? The people they love? Nobody's going to win, and they should end it now. He tells him he's not going to stop as long as Fisk is up to his illegal activities, and he knows Fisk has no plan to stop either. He asks Fisk what it'll take for him to just walk away, and says that if he leaves New York, then so will he. Fisk says there's nothing he can give him or take away from him that would make him change anything. Daredevil asks him to imagine if they'd never met. Then maybe Foggy and Vanessa would still be alive. This causes Fisk to finally lose it. He throws a chair at Daredevil. The two of them begin to fight. Outside, Powell gets a message from Buck and goes up to Saunders, telling him he knows he was the mole, and kills him, after which Powell then begins to tell everyone that the protesters killed Saunders, and they start to use brutal force against the protesters. Daredevil and Kingpin continue their fight. Fisk manages to grab Daredevil and lands a big blow before he starts curb stomping him. He then throws him into his painting, destroying it, and begins to beat Matt into the ground. Daredevil finally asks him if this is what he really wants, and Fisk says this is what they both want. Daredevil finally takes the kid gloves off and begins fighting back. He starts using his billy club to knock the Kingpin out. The AVTF begins attacking the protesters with Karen, Angela, and Javi caught in the crossfire. Javi gets knocked down and the two go to help him. Karen's wig gets pulled off. Fisk gets back up and finally asks Daredevil if he's going to arrest him, telling him he can't. Then he asks him if he's going to kill him and chides him, knowing that he won't. We then see Powell identifying Karen in the crowd and taking her prisoner. And that's where the episode ended. So, I have liked this show quite a bit. Some episodes more than others, but I have liked this show quite a bit. I think a couple of the episodes have been absolutely fantastic. This is not one of those weeks. I didn't think much of this episode. First of all, they totally underused Jessica Jones. They brought her in for a quick cameo, and I think that's kind of insulting to the fans who I think wanted more. Maybe she'll be back. I don't know, but like it was just cheap. It was cheap the way they brought her in and just used her for a scene, really, and not cool. I wanted more Jessica Jones, so I hope they bring her back, but I don't think they're going to, and I think it was lame how they used her in this episode. Totally disappointed me. I found the argument between Matt and Karen about kill or don't kill to be kind of tedious. It's ground they've covered a million times before, and it's ground that they're never going to see the end of. They're never going to resolve that issue one way or the other. So it's, I don't know why they're rehashing it. I don't know why they're rehashing that whole sort of moral question so pointedly. It kind of like was rehash. I mean, I guess it was interesting that their, positions are kind of flip-flopped, but like, I don't know. I don't think it was worth the big, show that they made of it. So I didn't appreciate that. And as well done as the fight between Daredevil and Fisk was, I thought it was unnecessary because it didn't resolve anything, and it only served to point out that it's kind of useless for them to fight. Well, you can't kill me, you can't arrest me, what are you going to do? Well, let's both leave New York. I mean, okay. But then why wouldn't they have put that episode like right at the end and leave that as the kind of cliffhanger? They didn't do that. So now they're going to fight again before the end? Like, or are they not going to fight again before the end, which would be really even dumber, like, to not have a fight between them in the finale. So it's because that would make it anticlimactic. So I like that they put the fight in there. And what the hell is going on with the therapist lady? Like, what was that scene all about? Totally pointless, totally ridiculous, totally needless. I don't know why that scene was even in there. I didn't appreciate that at all. So I really just didn't like this episode. It came off to me like filler, and like it just sent things in a circle for the most part. I guess there was some cool stuff with Daniel and Bibi, but that doesn't really save the episode. I just and the fight was really great, but I think it was misplaced. I think Jessica Jones was misused. I think there was a lot of rehash and a couple of useless scenes here that just were mind-boggling. So I didn't like this episode, and sadly, after such a long breakdown, that's really all I have to say. I just didn't like it, and those are the reasons why. So I'm going to get out of here, but I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.